Probably, Yvonne, your child is already studying in college. Alright. So the next thing to avoid for your 50s. Alright, so let's have a look. 50s. Probably, Yvonne, your child is already studying in college.
Yeah.
Right? College,
So
no?
going in
First year, second year.
already.
Going
First year,
in.
second year. Yeah,
Yeah.
going in.
And then half retirement for you. Yeah.
Mm.
So if you happen to be in your 50s, actually do share with us what is the financial commitment that you will be experiencing in your 50s. Okay. So let's move forward. Children are already in your college. So
Oh,
remember or not, in 30s we say you will regret very much if you don't prepare funds for your children in your 30s. Now in the 50s you are paying for them already. So this is also what I noticed in some of my neighbors. So one of it is we always hear that the neighboring hood here, the people here like to use their pension fund to pay for their children education. They like to use the pension fund to buy houses during their 50s, and they also like to use the pension fund to pay for children's wedding. And not right, they got nothing left for themselves. That's why every
I
time
know.
we hear that, I thought then we will be having a chat behind, my family, we always have a second round chat. Then we will be like, Mom, I thought EPF is supposed to be for retirement. So right now, if they pay for their children education, what's going to happen to them during their retirement? And true enough, the same group of people, we still see them working today, even though they are in their late 60s or they are in their early 70s. Yeah, so do not ever fall into this kind of trap. That's why saving earlier is better. And in fact, if you think that you're given the choice, if your children can go to the universities with their own student loan, it's even better than you forking out your retirement funds.
No, one of the tip is to prepare them young so that they can get a scholarship. Know what the university roughly about top 10 of the one that you want to go to. Like I know roughly top 10 which one I want to send my daughter to. And usually I will go through the school's few departments. One of them is their their finance aid, their scholarships, and also roughly all these things I will look through it. And normally I'll usually prepare her for like because scholarship in schools, normally they look at few things. Like one is under the sports category, one is under
The academic achievements.
academic achievement, and also they will also look at your co-curriculum like piano and dancing and
Oh,
blah blah blah. So these are also things that a university will look into, or even an international school will look into as well. Like maybe perhaps you won't get 100%, but sometimes you get 75, you get 50% of scholarship. I mean, it's still money, right? I mean, end of the day, it's still money, right? So
I
yeah.
remember. I think I got around. I cannot remember. Was it 5,000 or 10,000 discount? And my brother got around 20% discount on the education fees. Yeah. So
That's right.
also based on academic achievements. It is a time whereby you got to put yourself above the rest of the people. Yeah,
Yep.
because not to say that we're teaching you to be selfish, but imagine who's going to suffer ultimately if there's nothing left during retirement. Eventually, it's you. Unless you're saying that you got 100 grand in the EPF, but you're only using maybe 20% out of it to pay for the education funds, which the 80% is still there, all right, for you to serve you, then go ahead. Or else spending most of the money for your children's education may not work for you. You may end up working until the end of your life, so it doesn't serve you any purpose, right? So this one, it can be avoided if you start savings for your and investing for your children's education as young as possible. So over the weekend, I met up with a friend that I haven't been meeting for a while. So right now, he has a 1-year-old child. He said he already started investing for the child since she was born. So yeah, he is already very prepared because he is also a person from the banking line. He know how compounding interest works. He told me he doesn't save a lot, but he save early. He save consistently. Education also can mean that you can either send them to overseas very privileged places to study, or you can send them to local colleges, but you just want to make sure that there is a fund ready for them to use. For all of you who are still in your parenthood in your 30s, you can still do something for yourself. And for information, Yvonne and husband is very, very well versed in this one. Tell me about it, ask them about it. Right. They can tell you how well they have been prepared ahead of schedule. Yeah. Let's come back. So what to avoid again in your 50s? Still investing in super risky portfolio, or you have to stop already, Lola.
50 no lah, cannot lah.
You're probably already almost retiring, or again, it is time for you to revise your portfolio to see how much you are actually investing to risky, medium, and also low risk,
It's like
right?
50 years old, you are looking at more like preservation of your wealth already,
Mm,
actually. Yeah, not so
correct.
risky. And it's
Preserving
not to really to build
legacy.
legacy. It's not to build, but also to
Mm.
legacy
You,
and
sorry, you can still
preservation.
build. You can still build, but
Can,
probably 70,
yeah,
80% is legacy, it's
for legacy.
preservation. 20%,
Yes,
20%, those that you can afford to lose,
to
yeah, you can
yes.
remain.
No need to be so high risk anymore. I find super
Mm.
risky is
I think the intention at 50s is you got to make sure that the portfolio that you have is fighting against inflation. That's number one. And it can support you financially before you go into full retirement. That's
yeah.
crucial. Yeah. Okay. So how about 60s? Clock is ticking right now. So 60s. The number one regret of a lot of people, according to this research, is that
Definitely.
they are not maintaining a very good comprehensive medical and life insurance. Now we're gonna
Yeah.
tell you why. Imagine when you're in your 60s, okay, and your children already have settled. Probably some of them are already married. They have their own families. They start to have their own commitments, and to you, money become really extremely important. Why? The sickness all come in your 60s. You can no longer be so active like other people already, and this is actually probably the year that you should be relaxing. Yeah, but what if halfway when you're trying to relax, so suddenly you're sick, suddenly something happened to you, and you cannot work anymore. So you got to have very good insurance that can help you out to lessen your financial burden.
One of the things that I also see is that all this while, right, those that work in an MNC or work in a good company that pays you, that covers your medical benefit, so they don't see the need of having their own to pay for their own insurance. But don't forget, as you retire, that it used to, if you have been paying like maybe a 3,000 a year, or let's say 3,000 a year, you start young, 3,000 a year, or 5,000 a year when you start at your 30s, for example. But it's going to be like 15,000 or when you're 60 years old, or maybe 10,000 when you're 16 years old. So it's going to be very heavy, and that's the time when you're going to almost stop working, start retirement, and your company is, you're no more in that company, they're not going to pay for your benefit anymore. And a lot of them, they actually regretted, like they never start paying young, and they only want to buy, but it's already 10,000. But where are you going to get a 10,000 every month, every year from? 800 to 1,000 ringgit a month. How are you going to fork out just for insurance, right? When you're not even working anymore.
And that is just a price for a very basic medical insurance. So if you want to
Very
top up
basic, yeah.
more riders
Yeah.
inside, it's gonna cost you even more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Further that you're still healthy, or else you'll get exclusion here, you will get loading. Yeah.
And also,
So
please go and, if you have buy your insurance since you are young, if those parents already buy for you since you're young, and please go and review it, because those were the days where the insurance that only covers until 65 or 70. But of course, the reason insurance the last past 10, 15 years has covered until age 100. So if
yeah,
you are
I
still
talking
before
of which,
the,
right, I really have a relative. Their insurance plans only cover them until 70 years old, which is exactly this
yes,
year. So what happened
exactly.
is that few years back, this relative of mine got cancer. Luckily, it was
Mm.
just a first stage cancer. But ever since then only he realized that the insurance plan is only until 70 years old. But it's already too late, because having said he already have cancer, right? He cannot
Yep.
afford to buy a new plan anymore. So this is really something that, as an
Please.
insurance planner myself, I felt very guilty for not being able to help them, because they thought that they have bought something really comprehensive that will cover them for many, many years to come. But they didn't know that it's only until
But
70 years old. So sad.
don't forget, time flies as well.
True, true,
You
true.
blink and then are you 70 years old already. So it's like blink only 70 years old already. So it's like if a medical insurance is like more than 15 years roughly there, I think it's time for you to go and review your medical, especially your medical cover until age what. If it's covered until age 100, good for you. If you're covered until age 70, please go and upgrade it seriously and change it to 100.
Because I'm sure
Improve.
every one of us could see how medical bills have rised up. Whether we
It's
have
crazy.
sickness or no sickness, right? We still need to go for medical checkups. And one time going to a hospital is no joke.
No
Four
joke.
figure, 5 figure, 现在
Easily.
also 5 figure
No
already.
more, no more, definitely no more three figures. I can bet my last dollar.
Impossible lah,
No,
impossible
no
for
more
3 figure
three
already.
figure. Yeah, exactly. So
It's
like
never admission price anymore.
no more. I always go to UMSC because I find that UMSC is they have professors there and they're good. But now even their price has increased. Like even though just a normal checkup, for example, a fall, it's already 500 ringgit. No admission. There's like a 10-minute stop, 15-minute stop, 500 ringgit, you know. Last time used to be like 200 plus. Now it's 500 plus. So it's very expensive now. Even UMSC, can you imagine if it's private hospital? It's going to come out, you're going to rack up about 1,000 ringgit. Just a 10-15 minute stop with a doctor.
Yeah, probably
Sure.
this is also the age that you will spend a lot of money from your
Yeah.
retirement funds just to do maintenance for your health. The more you have on your health concerns, right, the more you really don't want any bill on the medical expenses to really spoil your retirement funds that is actually supposed to help you with your enjoyment. You want to enjoy, right? But you don't want that medical bill to suddenly help you to wipe out all your investments and your savings, right? Yeah. And not only that, during 60s, right, it's also the year that if you have investments, you can still maintain them. Yeah, doesn't mean that you can don't do investments at all. You can still maintain it. It's just
still
that,
maintain.
yeah, like what we said earlier, every 10 years review it. If you are no longer fit into the very risky one, then it's time for you to really move to all the safe one. But for me, right, I still feel 60 years old is still quite young,
Young. For now, it's
very
young.
young. I think having a little bit inside of very risky portfolio that can still make money, right, is actually healthy if all your buffer are enough. It's
But
not
make
gonna
sure the buffer is make sure the buffer is enough that I think you can do a lot of things with and
you
it's
can
just
do a lot of
actually
things.
60 is still very young
Because
for now.
60s is the harvesting time for your compounding interest. Is
Yeah.
that's the golden period whereby all your compounding interests are very gao. It will
True.
come to you. So I think if you have so many choices, you don't really need to touch them. It's just that if you want to start all over, move all your safe funds into a risky one, that one, of course, you got to think twice. That, yeah, do not abandon your investments. The advice here is, yeah. So, of course, 60 years old also mean that you want to plan out for a legacy as well. If you didn't plan out in your 40s and 50s, 60s is also a best era for you to plan for your legacy, because now that your children already, maybe they settle down, they have their own families as well, probably, it is time for you to really think, oh, okay, what's the next step? Now that I have grandchildren, what do I need to do more, about myself and also my family? What if I'm no longer around, right? So it's about giving back giving back the love and the wealth to your family again. Yeah. Okay. So with that, thank you very much, everyone. Yeah. So we have come to the end of the sharing session. We hope that you already listened up from the beginning until now to know what to avoid for the financial mistakes during your 20s until your 60s.